Opus family. Welcome to Water Cooler Wednesday, guys. As always, it's great to see you here. My name is Kayla. If you are new and just joining us for the first time, I'm happy to have you. Give me just a second to set that up. There we go. Then I can keep an eye on it. All right. So, I hope everybody had a wonderful Thanksgiving. I hope that you guys had lots of good non-drama family time, good food, some good laughs, and a great chance to enjoy all of those things. All right. So let's get rolling. So if you haven't joined us before, that is odd. I'm the client account consultant here at Opus Management. We are a business consulting firm that is dedicated to bring enterprise solutions to our small and mid-sized businesses. So allowing you guys to better serve your customer base and increase not only your efficiency, but ultimately your bottom line. So as we go into this, we're winding down, coming to the end of the year, and, depending on what your fiscal calendar looks like, this could be the end of your year. It could be middle of your final quarter, and you've got to start thinking now about next year, right? You're still working in your current 2023, but we need to start thinking about 2024, because if we wait until January to set our goals, we're already going to be that much further behind, or the start of your fiscal year. And so I've already started mulling over what my personal goals are for 2024 and how they're going to line up with my professional goals here at Opus and what we're doing. And so I've kind of had to take some stock and some evaluation in those things to determine, where am I going? What do I want to be at? Where will I be sitting when we have this conversation next year? Because I still plan on being here on Water Cooler Wednesdays. So outside of some really oddness, you can pretty much guarantee I'm going to be here at noon Central Time on Wednesdays. So anyway, with that, some things that we want to think about is kind of, what do your quarters look like? How are you going to break those down? So Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4, and what does that growth look like? Ultimately, what do you have to do this coming year to set you up to be where you want to be in 5 years and 10 years as you're building, your company, your business, your personal life? What does that brand look like? What legacy are you going to leave? I doubt that any of you guys are thinking, I'm going to close this business down in 5 years. Maybe you want to sell in 5 years. If that's the case, how do you put systems in place and do things that will take care of your brand and your legacy, and move you towards that point? Because a lot of times we get stuck in the right now. We're putting out the fires that are happening right now. Because that's all we have the capacity to do, because we haven't set up things to help us. I see that a lot on the HR side, on hiring and recruiting. We don't have a talent pool to pull from. You don't have, as one of my favorite leaders says, airplanes circling around above you. Essentially you, as a recruiter, right, you want people that you are in touch with regularly or part of your life that, you've got them in orbit around you. So when you're ready and you need somebody with their skill set, you can kind of pluck them out of where they're at and put them in a position. Kind of how I ended up here at Opus, But it's one of the, it's something to think about, right? So nurturing those relationships, sometimes doing what essentially, not always speaking your mind exactly how you feel. Taking into account what is your goal and where are you headed? What are some of the things that we need to start thinking about budgeting for? So like if this next year, ultimately, if you want to change over to an electronic program, right? If you want to change over into an ERP that's going to track all the manufacturing costs and what it costs you to build something or what it costs you for services, that's going to be one of those things that you've got to think about now and get set up and prepared for next year, right? Like we want to save that money. It's going to be an initial investment to set all of that stuff up. There's an initial investment in the implementation. And we want to be able to afford that and not just go, hey, I want to move from QuickBooks to whatever it is. You want to move over to Sage, right? You want to move over to Acumatica. If you want to do that, then you kind of got to be prepared for it, because there is a cost associated with that implementation, right? It's not just the software that you're purchasing. You've got to find somebody like myself and Opus that can help you set that up and can roll you into that, so that you're not going through the learning curve alone, trying to set up a program that you don't know, because everything after you leave QuickBooks there's going to be a chunk of a learning curve, and you're going to need somebody that's going to help you with that. But you'll want to have that planned into that budget. And that's going to be a big piece, and that's going to cost you, right? Like I'm very much you get what you pay for. So if you are not paying for, if you're going to do it on your own, you're going to go through some struggles, unless you're just this crazy wizard, whiz kid, whatever you want to call it, right? This genius person that understands that, and that's your field. Although, like, if you're an accounting person, I don't know that you're going to be in manufacturing necessarily completely. You might be. So don't come at me for those of you that are. But typically, that's not what we see. Your entrepreneurs and your operations aren't always able to spend the time building that out, right? You've got a ton of other things on your plate. Like if you're running a business and you're the one that's coming up with the ideas, we don't always see that they understand what's going on with that. A lot of people will hire a CFO in that case. So thinking ahead, right? So what do you have to do from the start of the year to the time that you really want to do this? Because most places we're not snapping our fingers and saying, hey, you know what, I'm going to implement today. Let's plan that out. So, what are you doing in quarter one, and how much extra do you have to make? How many more widgets do you have to sell in order to get you to that goal? And giving yourself that quantity, right? Giving yourself a measurable goal is going to be one of the things that's how you're going to measure it, right? Like break it down to the simplicity so that you can not only follow up with yourself and see where you're at in regards to where your goal is, but also, be able to measure it too. Being able to measure it allows you to track it. It lets you know where you're at and where you need to make changes. Breaking it down to, all right, my goal is $1 million. That means I've got to do 3,000 a day in sales. That's a whole lot more motivating than just being like, need $1 million. $1 million is a lot, guys. So if I want $1 million, what does that mean? If I want $10,000, what does that mean? So what do you have to do? Do you know what you have to do in a number of sales or in a number of, building leads? Any of those pieces, do you know how many you have to do to know if you're going to reach your goal? And are you checking in on that? We have throughout this year, as we've run through these Water Cooler Wednesdays, we've kind of checked in. And, we had the July check-in. We checked in the end of September, 1st of October, since that was where we, kind of coming into this last quarter. Well, now we're at the end of November, and we're gonna roll into December, and we're at the end of the year. And do you know where your goals are? I've got to update my number counts for November on some of my goals and see how far off I'm at. And okay, so what does that look like? Am I gonna reach my goals for certain things this year? And if I'm not, then I have to look at my tactics and look at what I did. Because I kind of tracked some of that. I tracked that stuff too, just like I've kind of tracked what we've talked about here on Wednesdays. So I have an idea, and I've already started building next year's plan. Like, we're gonna, and I did a couple of them this year, right? We did Microsoft March, we did social September, but I'm gonna go through and we're gonna look at that and have kind of, here's some of the things that I'm planning on discussing with you guys on each month. And then, of course, if you check out any of our social medias on Mondays, there's always the post like, hey, what questions do you have? What's your burning desire? And we can cover those too. Totally recommend you guys take advantage of that. Go, tell me, let's talk. And then come back on Wednesday, come in at noon and let's see. My goal this next year, right? One of my goals, right? We're gonna go live on TikTok twice a month with these. I can't always promise that I'll run my personal TikTok page in coercion with this, just because it doesn't always work out that way. And some days I just don't want to, because I get tired of my personal social media. After we've done a bunch of brand building here. Here on what, and I don't call it my 9 to 5 because I don't always work 9 to 5. I don't ever work 9 to 5. Sometimes it's 4 a.m. to 10 p.m. With a 2-hour ride break in the middle of the day. It just kind of depends on what I've got scheduled for the week. But in my day job, we do a lot with clients and social media, and so I'm not always Anyway, I digress. For those of you who've been here, we know I get sidetracked, but side note. So anyway, part of that is, the consistency on going live and bringing people in and, keeping that going, throughout the year. But there's always that option on Mondays that you can add to the discussion, and I welcome it, and would appreciate you guys coming in and let me know what you think. So anyway, in January of this year, we talked about SMART goals, which I kind of mentioned a minute ago, right? So setting a specific, measurable, attainable, reasonable, and time-bound goal. So obviously the year is your big picture, and then you bring it down, and ultimately you go from, 1 year out, 5 years, 10, however. You want to have a 5-year goal. I have a 5 and a 10-year goal, and I haven't gotten down to like a day yet. Like here, what's my goal every day? That's going to be for 2024. I've spent a lot of time learning this year, and we've done some shuffling and changes, which is super exciting, and a lot of growth. But as we go into 2024, it's time to take it up to the next step, and then the next step for 25, and then 26, and so on and so forth. So I'd love to hear what you guys' goals are as we go through December, and as we start looking at those things. There's lots of great options out there. There's lots of things that can help you grow. If you are struggling with recruiting and finding good people, or your turnover is really high. I think turnover is something that starts with recruiting. You got to hire the right people, and you got to set them up with their training and their having regular conversations. I think that will help you. That helps you ultimately decrease turnover, right? So what does your onboarding look like? How does that look? Do you have a plan? Do you have things set up so that it's clear, and you have standard operating procedures? So do you need SOPs written? Do you need to have a handbook? Do you need to have do we need to look at how you're onboarding people? Is your application just insane and huge and long? And how do we better consolidate all of those things and make it where people don't look at it and go, holy crap, I've got to fill out 50 pages of an application. Like, how much information do you want? Do you want to know what my firstborn child is? Like, let's set that up so that you are more successful as you're hiring and you're bringing in better airplanes, right? Like, let's increase the number of airplanes flying around, basically waiting for you to have a job, where you're able to build a team that is better equipped and a better representation of your brand and what you want to do. So you guys can find us at opusmanagement.us. We've got some options on there to get on our calendars, and we can have a discovery meeting. No matter what your business questions are, if you've got a pain point, we would love to help you find a way around that. So set up a time. They're free free discovery meetings, so we can dig in. About 30 minutes, we'll dig into what your problems are, what your business is, what you're wanting to do, and where you want to go, and how we can help. If we can't help you, we can find somebody who can. We're not gonna take money, guys. We really want to help you guys grow your businesses and continue to move forward and knock things out of the park, especially as things get more and more complicated for everybody moving forward, man. Business isn't easy. Running a business and being successful and having a good team is hard. But check us out, opusmanagement.us. If you're looking for social media, website branding, you can go to opusmanagementdesigns.com. There's places there where you can request a discovery as well. You can set up time with myself, TJ, or our marketing team to talk about what you're looking for. Kind of let us know, and we can get something together for you, get you a proposal, and kind of help you move forward with, whether that's your website or your social media account. We can definitely help you out with that, or give you an idea. But take some time, give us a follow on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. I think that covers everything, right? 2, 3, 4. Yeah. I have to count. I have to double check. And check my little thing up here that tells me all the places that we're streaming. But give us a shout. We'd love to talk to you and get you started down the right path. And with that, I will see y'all next week. Let's get into December strong so we can kick off 2024 with a great January.